I realize that, ladies, I realize we just went over this and nobody in this class is taking the state assessment test. However, the material that we're covering is still going to be on our regular final exam, so it is important to review. The second thing I think that's really important about the review is learning how to review. Ishi, if you could hit the lights, please. Does everybody realize that next year's math course, not this year's,
Algebra.
next year's algebra, and if you do not pass that Regents, you cannot graduate high school.
Uh-oh.
That Regents has approximately a 32% failure rate, which means about 32% of the kids who take it, more or less 1 out of every 3, fail. No, you didn't. You didn't take it yet. You won't take it till you're in 9th or 10th grade. Now, here's what you need to understand. You need to understand how to prepare for a test. And that's what we're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks. We're going to prepare as if we are all taking the state test. Now, I know we're not, but we're still going to work together and prepare for it as if we were. And that'll give you a good idea how to prepare. And then after the state assessment test, we will then also get into some preparation and some work. And then we have like these 1 or 2 little concepts that you're going to have to know for next year that you don't need to know yet. But I think if I teach them to you, it'll help you for next year. So I'm going to make sure to cover some of that new stuff before the end of the year. Now, the first thing you need to do, the first thing you always need to do in preparing is your work. But a lot of students think this, and this is, boys, this is very, very, very important. A lot of students think, hey, if I do the work the teacher gives to me, I'm preparing for the test. And you are, but you're not. See, it's not enough to just prepare. You also, Chris, head in the game. You also need to realize what it is you need to know more. And you realize that by messing up, getting a question wrong, and then working very, very hard to make sure that we can get it right. So, without any further ado, here are the answers to last night's homework. Chris, you seem very distracted. What are you doing? Okay, can we stop already? Get focused on the work that we're doing right now. Here are the answers to last night's homework. Take a look and see, and then if there's any that you want me to talk about as they go along, just raise your hand, okay? I believe that we're going to have a test in about 3 weeks or so. And after that, every Friday, you'll have tests. And they're going to be the same kind of questions over and over and over again. Okay? Chris, are you writing on the desk down on the chair? What are you doing? What are you doing like what? Okay, can we not do that? We need to have your head in the game here, Chris. You seem distracted the last couple of days. Okay, so we have, any questions on those? All right. Make sure you understand on this number 2 right here that all, thank you. On this number 2 right here, all you need to do is use your calculator to do the division. 18 divided by 3 fraction button 5. Use that fraction button. How many people remember how to use the fraction button from last year? Right? You just do 3 ABC 5, and that's 3/5. Okay, number 3, 13, and then I skip a few. And the next one I pick up on is number 9. How many of these did we do early in the year? We did them like crazy. And here they are again. Questions like this are very much going to be on the state assessment test. So it's 35 times 10 to the 7th, but 35 is not between 1 and 10. So I make it 3.5 times 10 to the 8th. Dividing by 10, then multiplying by 10 to balance it out. Okay, 3 angles of a triangle add up to 180. I have one of those questions. 41, 56, and what does that say? 80, 83, okay. And then we have another one with complementary, which always means adds up to 90. So I add the 2 angles up to 90. Remember yesterday we said this? It's two angles, not one angle. A lot of times kids just put x plus 10 equals 90. It's got to be one angle's x, the other angle's x plus 10. This one, is it a right triangle? I try the Pythagorean theorem and see if it works. When I plug the numbers in and check it, it does work. Again, earlier in the year we did tons of this stuff. Negative exponent? Reciprocal, 1 over 9, because 3 squared is 9. What's anything to the 0 power? 1. And this guy over here, you got to remember, you got to do the exponent first. Anything to the 0 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2. Negative exponent, reciprocal, so it's 2 and 1/27. Now we start getting into the most recent work with the formulas. Find the area of a parallelogram whose base is 15 and whose height is 8 inches. You should go to the reference page with the table on there, and you'll see parallelogram area is base times height. So that's 15 inches by 8 inches, which is 120 square inches. And then triangle, it'll tell you the area is a half the base times the height. So we crunch the numbers, plug them in, and we get 72 square inches. Okay, here's another. As soon as, look, see this font? I made it up. See this font? State made it up. Okay, this is an old state question. It says to asks you to do a 180-degree rotation, which means you turn the paper upside down. This is where it would end up, right over here. Okay. Now, very important kind of question. The Harold, that's my brother-in-law. He always goes to Dunkin' Donuts. So, that's it. No, that's McDonald's.
Oh, my bad. That's my bad.
Harold went to Dunkin' Donuts on 2 different days. Do you like the alliteration there? Alliteration, repetition of initial consonant sound. Little English terminology here. Harold went to Dunkin' Donuts on 2 different days. That's 4 words with a D in it. On the first day, he brought 3 donuts and 2 coffees for $6.75. So look what I did.
You got a discount while you're
3 donuts, 2 coffees, $6.75. Yeah, right? And then it says furthermore that a coffee is 25 cents more than a donut. So the coffee is the donut plus 25. And then I start crunching the numbers. This is not, look at this, they're not lined up. So you do not do the elimination technique. You do the substitution technique. 3D plus 2 times D plus 0.25 equals 6.75. Working the numbers all the way out. I get a donut is $1.25, and a cup of coffee is $1.25 plus 25, which is $1.50. Me personally, I don't drink coffee. So if I went to Dunkin' Donuts, it would only cost $1.25 for me. And I would get one of the cream-filled donuts because I like those.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. Ready? Ken used the function rule below to create a number pattern. Create his function rule. Here's the number pattern. Y equals 2x plus 2. So I put in all the x's and I come up with -6, -2. 2, 4, 6. And there is my line graphed. Okay? Any questions? Again, is this a question I made up or is this an old state test question? Old state test, so you know what to expect. Did I make this one up?
Yes.
Yeah, because I couldn't find the state one. So, top, bottom, front, back, left, right. The top, here it is. It's 15 by 4. That's 60. Bottom is 60 also. Remember, this one formula is not on your formula sheet.
Whoa.
So you have to remember, if you're going to do surface area question, you got to remember top, bottom, left, right, front, back, or any combination thereof. If you add them all up, which I'm an idiot and I forgot to do, 120 and 150 is 270, 290, 310 square feet. I forgot to finish the problem. 310 square feet. And this formula is on the state assessment test. I typed in the question, but I did get the formula from an old state sheet. That's how, because they drew the picture, I didn't. So,
They draw.
or made a graphic, I guess you could say. So the volume is a half base times height times length. And I just put the numbers in and I get 1,540 centimeters cubed. Any questions? No. Yes, Caitlin? Oh, no. No? Okay. All right, so listen. This is what you gotta know how to do. And the first part of preparing for a test is this. You do the best you can on the homework. You're not lazy about it, you don't dog it, you don't copy it from a friend, you do the best you can. Then you come in and you go over the homework and you find out, what did I not do well? And whatever you didn't do well, we ask about. Now, the next thing that we have to do is talk about I think this is the quiz. Yep. The next thing we need to talk about is today's quiz. So, yesterday we did these questions, and today we're redoing them again. But I changed them a little bit, and we want to be able to make sure we can do them. Today I'm going to start number one by doing it in a different order than I did yesterday. Yesterday I did the table first, and I noticed a few people who did the table on their quiz, and that's a really good way to do it. The best way is with an equation. So I'm going to do the equation first, and then we'll do the table. The equation looks like this. Jenny wants to rent a truck for a day. She contacted two companies. Laguna's is $20 plus $2 per mile, and Salvatore's truck is $6 per mile. And I want them to be the same, so I want them to be equal. Head the game in, right? Kayla, you with me here? Subtract the 2m. Die. 20 equals 4m. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. M equals 5. So that tells you right there that the answer has to be 5 miles. But some people, you know, they're like, I think everybody can solve this. I don't think there's a single kid in the class who can't solve this. But what I do think sometimes is going from words to the equation is hard for kids. So what if you're one of those kids that's having a hard time translating the words into the equations? Well, you can do a table. And you can say 4, 5, 6, 7, and then you can do Jenny and Laguna. Now, I'm only going to do the answer, which is 5, and show you that they're equal, because yesterday I showed you some that were wrong, okay? So Jenny says 20 plus $2 per mile. If I hand in 5 miles, what's $2 per mile for 5 miles? 10. And then add 20, what do you get? 30. And this guy's $6 per mile. What's 6 times 5? 30. So therefore, lights flash, bells ring, ding, ding, ding. 5 is the number of miles that will make it be the same. Okay. If you try any of those other combinations, they will not be the same. So here's a graph, and this time it asks for, let's make sure we understand what it wants. It wants increasing and nonlinear. So I'm going to work the opposite of yesterday. This is decreasing, so it can't be this. And this is decreasing, so it can't be this. Which one is nonlinear? The one on the left or the one in the kind of middle right?
Right.
Middle right, good. That's the area between, or the part where x goes from 0 to 2, so it's choice C, where x is between 0 and 2. Okay, now, the last question says, what's the value of n in the diagram below? Well, you need to realize that these two guys are vertical angles. They make the letter x. When you see vertical angles, they're always equal, so this is also a 2n. That's the first thing you needed to realize. The second thing, and I do believe this is the hardest question on the quiz, and of course, is this my question or the state's? State's question. Now, the next thing you have to realize is this. What do these two angles add up to? 90. How can you tell they add up to 90? Caitlin? Okay. Yeah, this is a perpendicular symbol, and if this is a right angle over here, since they make a straight line, this is also a right angle. Or, God bless, the 180 minus the 90 would leave you with 90. So, n plus 36 plus 2n has to equal 90. Same side, same operation. 3n plus 36 is 90. Minus the 36. Die. 3n is 54. Divide by 3. N is 18. Okay? Any questions? Okay. So, there's the quiz, and look, when I make up these kind of questions, I want you to know a couple of things. Listen, I got my eye in 2 places right now. I got one eye in one place, one eye in another place. The first eyeball is on the state assessment test. So I'm asking myself all the time, what kind of questions will get you guys ready for the state assessment test? And I make them up and I give them to you in quizzes, okay? And then I will put an eye on the final exam. Now, the final exam is better than the state assessment test. I do not see the state assessment test questions until after you do. You will literally see them before me. I do see the final exam questions. Now, I am not one of those teachers who's going to give you the final exam questions before the exam. I just don't do that. But I do say to myself, for instance, I might say, hey, there's a diagram like this on the test. Let me find a way to give you a similar diagram, something like it. so that you'll be prepared. And then I always over-prepare kids. I would also make a similar diagram that would add up to 180, so that you'll see both possibilities. I'll also have a vertical angle problem in there. So I'll turn one diagram into 3 or 4 different types of questions, knowing that if you can do all 4 types of questions, you can do anything that's going to be on that test. Plus, you learn the material better, so that next year, you're more comfortable with that material. So I have one eye on the future, and I have one eye on the immediate future, which is that state test in about 2 weeks. The 13th to the 15th is when the state test is. So that is what I'm thinking about, that's what's on my mind, and when you get these questions, understand that I'm not giving them to you saying, hey, how can I torment these kids? I'm saying to you, or to myself, what do these kids need to know? And if they can do what I'm going to give them, they're going to succeed. And some of you guys are fairly close on your grades for the year. And what'll happen is this, if you have like a 62 or a 63 average, and you get a 75 on the final, you would have kind of proved to me one last chance, last ditch effort, hey, I know this stuff, you should pass me. But if you have a 62 or a 63 average, and you get a 55 on the final, what have you proven? Proven that you don't know it. So I should not pass you. Yes?
So you have like a 70 average and you failed the final.
Well, it all depends how much you failed it by. Like if you had a 70 average and you failed it with a 20, you could fail for the year. But if you had a 70 average and you failed with a 63, then you wouldn't fail for the year. But this is the important thing. You guys have taken how many tests with me this year? When you take a test, are you prepared for these tests? Yes, I think you're thoroughly prepared for the tests. So you're going to be thoroughly prepared for your final exam, and it's not going to be a big deal. Every day, you guys have these sheets. Make sure that you do all the questions on the sheets. And I've already started to do your sheet right now, so that tomorrow I can give you all the answers and we can go over it. So make sure you finish it tonight, okay? Chris, hold down.